me getting backstones.
Ah, very good.
To protect myself
There you go.
from
Absolutely.
Altercation.
So Muhammad Ali, I think you all know, was born 1942, Louisville, Kentucky, to his parents who were not wealthy people. His father was a sign maker. His mother stayed home with the two boys. And his parents had really saved up for a long time to get Muhammad a brand new red bicycle for his 12th birthday, which was January 17th. And it was Muhammad's prized possession. I don't know. I bet if I went around here, I could ask you all if you remember when you were a child that one thing that you were just so excited, you would ask for, you got it, it was the best thing you've ever had, he was proud of it, he wrote it all over his town. He and his friend went to a show in downtown Louisville. It was actually a home show, which is kind of funny, but they were serving free popcorn, as he tells the story, so he was going in and out to get the free popcorn, parked his bike outside, went in, and when he came out, the bike was stolen. He was 12 years old, just gotten it, he was so angry, he was ranting and raving, and he demanded, because he was confident even back then, to speak to that police officer who was on site. So that officer came out and calmed him down. He said, what's going on? What are you going to do? And Cassius Clay, at the time, he said, I'm going to find and I'm going to whip you. And the officer kind of looked at him and said, well, you're sort of this scrawny, skinny little 12-year-old guy. Do you really know how to handle yourself? And Cassius had to admit no. And more importantly, that officer looked at him and he kind of saw the path that was laid out before him. This kid starts fighting on the streets, he starts defending himself that way. Something's going to happen, right? But he saw energy, he saw spirit, he saw confidence. So he said, how about this? Instead of going to find that thief, how about I teach you how to handle yourself first? Why don't you come down to my gym, which was the Columbia Gym in Louisville, Kentucky. It was a police-run, police league gym. He said, and learn how to box. And sure enough, Muhammad went down to the gym, 12 years old, first time he put on gloves, first time he stepped into the ring, and he found his passion. He fell in love. 12 years old, first time ever starting to work a bag. 6 years later, Olympic Games, Olympic gold medalist, because of dedication, because of the confidence that had been instilled in him, because of his discipline and how he chose to live his life from that moment forward when he found something that he loved. And most importantly, it was a transformational moment because there was one person, Officer Joe Martin, who looked at a young boy and gave him an option, gave him another door, gave him something else to do with his energy, gave him something else to do with everything that was happening to him, and gave him an opportunity. Jeff and I have talked about this a lot, but that's a social coach job. Officer Joe Martin, the original Muhammad Ali social coach. He was there, he saw a young man in need, and he gave him an opportunity. We talk about red bike moments.
Could we imagine a police officer in Greater Manchester Police actually becoming a Joe Martin? I'm asking honest question. Not going to happen, is it? But that happened in the 60s, in a racially segregated society.
1954.
Well,
even
so
more.
we're now going to go back.
Yeah.
And I just sometimes wonder if we could have a bit of that then, now, what we might be doing, and how we might be doing it. And I had my Joe Martin, who saw something in my energy and my feistiness, because I was a skinny little runt, and I had a lot to say for myself. I didn't have a red bike. I couldn't dream about having a red bike. But what I'm saying is, that Joe Martin was every single one of you. That is a social coach. Just directing that energy, taking to a police-run boxing gym. Or there's a fire service-run boxing gym. But at a time where we know stop and search, in the States it's called stop and frisk, which interpretation of language would have a completely different meaning here. But it's still the issue, we're still grappling with. Yeah, stop and frisk, ladies, forget it. It ain't going to happen. But what I'm saying is, the relationship with the police, community policing, and how they might do that. In 1994, we took some young people to Los Angeles, the Spirit of Human Lost Sight of LA. And even in South Precinct LA, with the gang culture as extreme as it was, the LAPD had midnight basketball, midnight hockey. They realized they needed another way to engage with their young people. And when there was an incident, guess what? We've got to close the program, people, because we've now got to investigate. That project would only be shut for one night because the project was more important. So people who were going to damage the community were given up because it was more important for the we rather than the me. So the Joe Martins is what I'm talking about and what I see you becoming. And yes, there were supposed to be some police officers here today, but yet again, they're still working on their core values. So I felt it again, so that relationship of trust, confidence and respect is built. But in the Moss Millennium Powerhouse, netball referee is a full-time policewoman. The chief superintendent had never been in Moss Millennium Powerhouse, and was quite nervous about it, bumped into his colleague, and she went, "Don't talk about work to me, I'm actually having downtime." And I thought, there's the opportunity. And she refereed a netball match with young women coming from all over Greater Manchester in a powerhouse that seemed to be that dark. So it's the Joe Martin moment. It's where you decide you're going to be that person who gives that life opportunity. You're all doing it now. But for me, would you be able to take them to that club? If they developed that Olympic potential, would you be able to pass them on to a pathway? You guys would, as far as City and the academies and the raw pool of talent. But just something I want to leave with you. Since Darren Campbell, who was taken from the streets of Moss Side, with the potential to be the bad boy, or a victim of that bad boy culture at the time, became an Olympic and Commonwealth Games gold medalist. We have not produced anybody. In Rio, nobody had come from this city. Nobody. Now that's the social, cultural, grassroots development performance and excellence, because he can inspire. But we've not had anybody. So I just sort of asked the question, where's the raw talent? Where's the Mohammeds? Where's the Joe Martins? Where's the journey being allowed to take a possible route to greatness? I know there's some talent at City. Patrick Vieira told me, show me the raw talent, because you're not recruiting from abroad, you're recruiting from the streets of Manchester. And it makes good economic sense. So you're the scouts. You're doing something more than just scouting talent. Agree? How many talents have you found?
We've got 7 semi-pro clubs, 1 for international.
Attitude. By the way, 90% of them are not making it because of their attitude. All those core principles, all that hard work, that punctuality, or when dropped, they take it as a personal affront. They take it as an issue that sees them. Okay. So you travel, you learn a new language. Ravel Morrison will always be the prime example of what we're talking about here. Alex Ferguson said he was the best player of any generation that came before him at United. He played football with my son, and he had that edge to him. The edge to be doing things great or not so great. He didn't go to a World Cup because they weren't sure of his attitude. And he was bringing them boys from the street to his reserve games. So he created a culture of fear. Then they didn't know what to do with him. And then he turned up on my son's fight last year. Didn't even notice him. I was focused on other things, but he has just become, he's gone back to the streets. And that, if he's not come back to the streets to inspire the streets, that they can improve on their lives, I think we failed him, but we failed the generation that should be him. Because I always saw the raw talent in this community and other communities, and I know the route to greatness is so much harder than it used to be. And the distractions are so much greater than they used to be. So it's not an easy task, but the red light moment, you know, when you see that talent, and there's no assessments, you know, don't you? There's something in you that goes. And that's to anybody. You know when you see it, you feel it. So that applied is, how do we take them on a path where they can realise their potential? So this is the action learning bit. This is where you're going to be challenged in coming up with some solutions that I believe reflect the communities that you are working in. So, action learning. It's a scenario, again inspired by our work throughout communities, throughout the world, where we know you've got to move on your feet, think on your feet, come up with answers, because they will challenge you. And you might have to come up with something that already comes from your life experience, your wisdom. We've got over 500 scenarios. They will all be uploaded in different phases of your online engagement with this journey, should you wish to take that journey forward. But the one today is about where you are in your communities and in your environments. No action learning scenario has the right or wrong solution, because it's about gaining the opportunity of directing that energy and that route to travel. We're all going to have a Novo board. work out who's going to lead and who can write. You're going to have to present the outcome of your action learning scenario. So you're really going to have to get involved. It's going to set the scene for you, and then see how you would want to cope with it as a collective. Because that's the diverse range of knowledge, experience, and application. I need my glasses.
I can read it, Jeff. I'll read it.
Brilliant. Erin,
Okay,
will you read?
so the scenario is there's a family in need of support. The mom is not working due to mental health needs, anxiety, and depression. Dad works as a taxi driver. There are 3 children, Sam who's 17, Melissa who's 13, and Ryan who's 9. Sam left school at 15, no qualifications, stays at home mainly. Started college but struggled and left after a couple of months. Melissa attends school but is often absent due to caring for her mom and for Ryan. Ryan attends the local primary school but struggles with reading and writing and is bullied. What are the risks? The family does not meet thresholds for social services intervention, for example. So then you need to identify key challenges, key opportunities, the core principles, the values, Muhammad's core principles that need to be applied to reach a positive outcome, and then actions or interventions that you as a community put into place.
That's a challenge in its own right. But I know that the skill sets are here. On the basis of using, and just however you wish to describe it, those are the key headings, and the clock's ticking. Because at the end of the day, he is about to be engaged in, as well as the sister, into a trafficked environment. They will be selling their bodies and as a result of not having the right coordinated and integrated offer. Clock's ticking, people. Someone's going to have to lead, someone's going to have to support, someone's going to challenge. Sorry, just one other thing. There will be 3 phases of intervention. There will be a first phase of engagement, there will be a second phase of engagement, and then there's the desired outcome you want to see happen. 3 phases. And you can float around each group, because there will be expertise that might float on the basis of not having that core skill set.